Hello, welcome to the channel. It's your boy EO here. So if you don't know, I'm someone who helps people coming from the African diaspora or anywhere else around the world to find their home in Africa. So are you looking to move to Kenya and you're unsure about how to get residency? As today we're going to explore all the residency options that you can get in Kenya if you want to stay there in the long term, or even if it's just a short business trip or a short trip to visit your family. This is the video for you. So you've got many options. So we're going to start off with the short-term options. So for people that are looking to visit family or go to a business trip or a short-term trip, the short-term visa options might be the best one for you. Or this might be a good option for you if you want to visit family, but you're still unsure about moving to Kenya in the long term. So these short-term visas or passes can last anywhere from a couple of days to a year. Sorry, I'm going to take this jacket off. It's hot in here. So you've got many options that you can choose from. And one of these options is the single entry visa, which is usually valid for about 90 days and it's suitable for tourists. You've also got multiple entry visa, which means that you could actually visit Kenya multiple times within a year. And you've also got the temporary work permit, which is under class G, I believe. Usually this is used for short-term business or employment, and it's valid for 6 to 12 months. You've also got a temporary pass, which is another option for you. So it's important that these type of permits are for short-term stays only, and it does not guarantee you a pathway to citizenship or permanent residency. This is just a stepping stone to get to where you want to be, which is eventually staying in long-term in Kenya, if that's what you want. And for example, if I was completely new to Kenya, it was my first time there and I'm still trying to get to know the country, I would consider this option because it gets me to look at potential investment opportunities. It allows me to work in Kenya without having the pressure to meet up with the requirements. You know, I know some residencies require you to earn a certain amount of income. And even when you're using a short-term visa or pass, it allows you to know what it's like to live in Kenya. Another option for residency is a work permit. This is for people that want to live, work, or start a business in Kenya if you're a foreigner. And the most important thing that you need to know is that it's more serious compared to the visa that I was talking about before, because you're actually required to work and have some kind of investment in Kenya. But today I'm only going to talk about the work permits that are relevant to the Africans or people coming from the African diaspora. So the first one is you've got a class A work permit. So this work permit usually applies for mining professional or investors. You've got the class G work permit. This is usually for investors, but is more catered towards entrepreneurs starting businesses. You've got a class D work permit. These are for employees that are working in Kenya, but they must be sponsored by a employer. And the class K permit, which is for people that are often retirees or self-funded individuals, people that have income coming outside of Kenya. So in order to get a work permit, you have to consider multiple things, you know. There are requirements, and these requirements include having a passport, a valid passport, an application letter from an employer, and you would also need a CV or academic qualifications for job-based permits. Business registration documents, you would need that as well for people that are investing. A bank statement. So the cost of these work permits vary. They're just an estimation. But I would recommend that you go out there and you actually do some research outside of what I've said in the video. So the Class D permit usually is about $1,000 for the application plus $2,000 for the issuance. The same thing for the Class G permit, but the Class K permit is usually a bit more expensive when it comes to issuance. So for the application process, you usually have to apply online through the EFNS application portal, and you would usually need to upload your document, then wait for approval from the Director of Immigration. By then, you should get your permit stamped. And on average, this can take anywhere from 6 to 10 weeks, maybe even longer. It just depends on the process. Now, there are some challenges when it comes to getting a work permit. And one of those things is that is a lot of money. There's high financial thresholds. For example, someone like me, I'm a student, I have no money coming in. So if I was looking to move to Kenya, getting a work permit might not be the best option for me. I might be better off getting a short-term visa or a temporary pass just to see if Kenya is for me. Because, we're young, we don't know anything. We're still trying to find our way and where we belong. But a work permit can also be good, especially good for people that actually want to move to Kenya and want something that gives you legal stability to stay in Kenya and build your life. You've also got permanent residency. Now, this allows you to stay in Kenya indefinitely without needing the requirement to renew your work permit or get a temporary visa. This is ideal for anyone that wants to live in Kenya in the long term, especially if you're someone that you don't qualify for citizenship. Now, there are 4 main categories for permanent residency. For example, you've got a category for spouses of Kenyan citizens, but they must be legally married for about 3 years, and you would need proof of marriage. You've got category B, which is for children of Kenyan citizens, and this applies to anyone that is biological or legally adopted. They must be under the age of 18 years old. And you've got category C is for the Kenyan diaspora or people of African descent. This is probably the most relevant for the African diaspora, but you must show proof of African ancestry or Kenyan roots. And you've got category D. Category D is for lawfully residents of Kenya that have been living in Kenya for 7 years. Now, the general requirements, you have to show proof of valid passport, birth certificate, proof of legal residence in Kenya, certificate of good conduct. This can be police clearance, financial proof, basically proof of funds. Now, the cost of permanent residency can vary as well. The application fee could be anywhere from 10,000 Kenyan shillings, about 70 USD. And then you're going to have to pay for insurance, which is about 500,000 Kenyan shillings. It's about 3,300 US dollars. Now, the timeline for approval is usually about 3 to 6 months. It can take longer. However, there are some challenges. You're going to need to show proof of strong roots of African ancestry or the Kenyan connection that you might have. And also, approval of permanent residency is not always guaranteed, so don't be disheartened if things don't go your way. And lastly, we all have the big dog, if that's what you say, which is the Kenyan citizenship. So the citizenship is simple. It gives you the right to live, work, basically do anything you want in Kenya. And I'm not saying rob the store or steal something or commit crime. No, I'm not saying that. You can also vote or apply for a Kenyan passport. You, as a foreigner, get Kenyan citizenship. Well, under the Kenyan Constitution in 2010 and the Citizenship and Immigration Act in 2011, there are 3 main ways that foreigners can get Kenyan citizenship. By marriage, only if you've been residing in Kenya for the last 7 years. By naturalization, which is the most relevant pathway for the diaspora, which also requires you to live in Kenya for 7 years continuously. You also have to be fluent in English or Swahili. You can also get the citizenship by birth or descent, and the general requirements are as followed. You have to have a valid passport, proof of residency, permits, visa stamp, affidavit or documents supporting your ancestry if you decide to go through that route. Now, the fees and processing times to get your application reviewed can take anywhere from about 6 to 12 months, maybe longer. However, if you want to get Kenyan citizenship, the process can be very strict and very few people do get accepted, so keep that in mind. So if someone wants to move to Kenya but doesn't have the money, I would suggest getting a short-term visa or temporary pass. Get a short-term option, so you can see the country for yourself to see if it's for you, which is the position that most people are in right now. I know that, most people, 99% of the people in the world are not millionaires. They're not earning £20,000 a month. No. Yeah. Instead of fully committing myself, I would suggest you dip your toes in first, get your short-term visa or temporary pass or whatever you want to get. Stay there short-term, and then after that, you can make a decision. So if you need help finding your home base in Africa, or if you want to follow my journey as well, doing the same thing, please make sure to subscribe, like the video, and comment down below. Are you applying for residency in Kenya? Please do let me know down in the comments below. And yeah, peace.